What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is main deck Monday. Today we are going over an Aromatisse toolbox deck. Now, if you don't know, the whole concept is going to use Aromatisse with the fairy chance to move around your fairy energies any way you want to and attack with a certain Pokemon depending on the situation. And I want to give a shout out to Tito. He's from Indonesia, and he's actually so far gained 637 championship points just off this deck alone, just off the fairy box. And it depends, what kind of day it is. He might switch out Pokemon. He might use other attackers as sets come out. He's been switching. At first, Max Potion wasn't out, so of course he could play Max Potions. But all throughout this year, he's only played this deck, just Aromatisse toolbox deck, and he's gained 637 championship points. So shout out to him. It's kind of his list. I think I cut like a Manectric EX for a Jolteon-EX, but it's a really good list. He did post it on his Facebook page, and let's go over and let's see what it's about, and let's see how good of a deck it is. So like I said, our main kind of power is going to be this Aromatisse. It has the fairy transfer ability. You can move a fairy energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon, which is great. And your main attacker is actually going to be Toad. In the early game, you only use Quake Punch. Your opponent can play the item cards, and you do 30 damage. 30 might not seem like a lot, but the item locking is where it's like the key thing is. You're going to item lock your opponent, make it where they can't play item cards, which shuts down like 70% of decks, maybe 60 to 70% of decks with Quake Punch. And he also has a second attack, Grenade Hammer, 130. You do 30 damage to 2 of your bench Pokemon, but 130 is a lot with the fighting fury about 140. So 130 plus the 140 is 170 with the fighting fury belt. And both of those attacks, you could do 180 damage, which is really nice with the Seismitoad-EX. Alright, so one Jirachi with Stardust, discard special energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. If you do, prevent all effects of attacks including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. Now, this is against like Night March and maybe Giratina decks, maybe, all the decks that play special energies. Jirachi could be useful for that. One Jolteon-EX with the Flash Ray. You could use Swift 30, but the real attack is Flash Ray, does 70, cannot be hurt. Prevent all damage, judge this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon, which is great. I really do like that attack a lot. It's a really neat attack. One Xerneas-EX, Breakthrough 60 and 30 to a bench EX, and X-Plus 140. You can't use X-Plus next turn, but you can see Quake Punch plus an X-Plus. It's usually a knockout, 130, 170, 180. You can hit that pretty easily with Xerneas. One Rainbow Force, Xerneas, does 10. This attack does 30 more damage for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. So at 5, you can do 150, plus a 10, 160, with the Fighting Fury Belt, 170. So that could knock out some certain EX Pokemon. 3-2 Aromatisse. I actually like this Spritzee a lot right now, because it just needs a single colorless energy beat for 10. Just a normal color energy, so you can have Fairy or maybe a DC attached to it if needed. I know it's like seem kind of weird that if you have a DC, you could tackle with it, but maybe desperate times you have to use beat. I don't know. One Giratina, which has the Renegade Pulse ability, which can't be hurt by Mega Evolution Pokemon, and Chaos Will for 100. Your opponent can't play any tools, special energy, or stadium cards from their hand during their turn, which is great. One Malamar with Hyper Hypnosis. When you attach energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you may use this ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep, and Maxmar. Flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 60 damage times the number of heads. So what you can do is attach the fairies and rainbow energies to Malamar, then use the Aromatisse and move it off the Malamar, so that puts your opponent's active Pokemon to sleep while still keeping the energy in play, which is very nice. One Darkrai with Dark Pulse. This attack does 20 more damage for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And Dark Head, which is a really cool attack. If your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep, this attack does 80 more damage. So you can kind of see how this works with Malamar as well. You could use Dark Pulse, which could do what, if you have 8, and no, you can only have 4 energy, so 80, 100 total with, I think it's Dark Pulse, 110 max, I think it's the max you can do with Dark Pulse. With Dark Head, you can put the energy on Malamar, put somebody to sleep, then move the energy up to Darkrai, and take a knockout Dark Head, which is a really cool attack, and 2 Shaybays to help set up. So that's going to be all of our Pokemon. There are 17 Pokemon in the deck. Some Pokemon you can always change, like maybe Xerneas if you don't like the Xerneas. Maybe this Xerneas you could cut, but maybe hitting for Fairy against Dragon Pokemon, which is kind of big. We've seen some big Dragon Pokemon like Giratina, which Xerneas can attack for. Darkrai, Malamar for Trevenants. You got Night March with Jolteon and Jirachi and Toad all help for. Evital, you have Jolteon, which, you know, you have all these different attackers depending on the deck, is really, really great. The energy is just going to be 4 DC, 4 Rainbow, and 4 Fairy Energy. 4 Rainbow provides any type of energy, but you have to do 10 damage to that Pokemon you put this Rainbow Energy attached to. Alright, so 12 energy, 444, pretty easy. And the trainer line. Alright, so 3 Max Potion, heal all damage from one of your Pokemon. If you do, discard all energy attached to it, which might seem counterproductive because, you know, you're going to discard all of your energy, but you can just move them off with Aromatisse, except for DCEs. But Max Potion is still a really cool card. 1 Megaphone, remove all tools from the opponent's side of the field. 1 Super Rod, shuffle a combination of 3 Pokemon and or energy back into your deck. 3 Ultra Ball, 3 VS Seeker, 1 AZ, pick up 1 Pokemon, return it to your hand, 1 Giovanni scheme to either do 20 more damage or to draw. You have 5 cards left in your deck. 1 Judge, both players shuffle their hand to deck and draw 4 cards. 2 Lysandre, 1 Pokemon Fan Club, search deck for 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand. This could be a card you could cut for another Ultra Ball if you want to play 4 Ultra Balls, because the likelihood of you drawing the 1 Fan Club is pretty low, but if you draw into it early, it's a really, really good card. 1 Professor Birch, shuffle your hand to deck, flip a coin of heads, draw 7, don't worry about tails, you're going to flip heads, I promise. Birch will not let you down, he is the man in charge. 4 Sycamore, 1 Xerosic, discard a tool or special energy card in play, from either your or your opponent's side of the field, which it could help you if you want to discard maybe Headringers or Jaminets. You could use Xerosic to discard those. 4 Fairy Guarded and 3 Fighting Fury, able to give your Pokemon 40 more HP and do 10 more damage. And there's a Fairy Toolbox. Like I said, depending on your meta, depending on your situation where you're at, you could switch the deck around, but it's a really, really, really good deck. Give a shout out to Tito one more time. He's the one who published his list, and he has gotten 637 championship points with this certain kind of deck. I'm pretty sure he made top 8 at Worlds last year. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 99% sure. I did play against him at Worlds. Sadly, he did beat me. That Malamar. Oh, that Malamar. I remember that Malamar. It was a good Malamar. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and let's see the deck in action. Alright, you're putting against Ponzizord, playing a Psychic, Dark, and a Colors deck. So maybe some kind of Evital deck with Psychic thrown in there. We lost the coin flip, so we will be going second. Maybe we can start with the Seismitoad-EX, since we do play 3 of those, and let's see what's going to happen. Alrighty, not the best of start, but we have a cool play that I can show you. We'll start, actually, Shaymin-EX. And I know that seems kind of weird that we're starting with Shaymin, but I'll show you something we could do. We'll press done, and let's see what my opponent is playing. There's a Darkrai. Alright, so probably it's going to be a Darkrai Hypno deck. If we can get Jolteon out, we might be, like, really, really good. Alright, but let's see. There's a Dark Energy going to the active. We'll see a All-Night Party coming down, an Evital coming down as well. And let's see what else does our opponent have for this turn. But what we can do next turn is DC, Muscle Band, or not Muscle Band, Fighting Fury Belt, the Shaymin, Sky Return, and send up maybe the Xerneas and putting down the Spritzee. And there's a Drowsy coming down, alright, so Drowsy coming online. And there's a Sycamore, high five, that was a great opening hand by my opponent. Alright, so Muscle Band going down onto the Darkrai-EX as well. Another Darkrai coming down, and let's see what else. Pass onto our turn. Alright, so we get another DC, fantastic. Alright, so we'll Fighting Fury Belt, DC to Shaymin, Spritzee, Xerneas, and I'm actually just going to Sycamore. We need to find some new Pokemon, some new friends to draw into, and alright, we get a Toad. Okay. We could Sky Return into a Toad. Yeah, that might seem good. We'll Sky Return into Toad. Let's see, Darkhead can do 180 max. But we have a Fighting Fury Belt on our Toad. So yeah, we'll Sky Return for 40, send up Toad, and then what we can do next turn is DC the Toad, maybe a Lysandre or somebody up, keep it stuck in the act spot. They will have to find a DC and a Hypno. There's a Trainer Smell. Oh man, what do we stay asleep? Oh wait, no, let's see, Darkhead. Yeah, okay, so alright, looks like Trainer Smell does fail. DC to the active. So we can see a Darkhead happen. We see a VS Seeker for another Sycamore. Can they find the Hypno or not? That is the question. Sycamore going to discard that hand, draw 7 new cards. They discard a Switch and another DCE, so maybe, okay, there's a Hypno coming down. The question is, will we stay asleep or will we not? Good night, babies. Alright, good night, my babies, and let's see what happens. He wakes up. Maybe we should have seen the Xerneas just get knocked out. That probably would have been a smarter play, but Darkhead for 180. Do we wake up or not? And no, we stay asleep. Alright, on to our turn. We'll get a Jolteon, so that's good. We'll put down the Jolteon, put a DC on it, put down a Fighting Fear Belt, and we're going to Lysandre up this Darkrai, and maybe he can't retreat it. We'll put down a Fairy Garden as well, and we are going to pass for our... We could maybe Shaymin and draw 3 cards and hope to hit a Max Potion. Let's do it. Shaymin for 3, trying to hit a Max Potion. Let's see, do we get it or not? And, okay, we get another Fairy Garden. Alright, so we're just going to end our turn there. Heads, we do wake up. Now, next turn, if we draw into a Rainbow Energy, what we can do is Rainbow the active Sycamore, hope to hit the Aromatisse and retreat into the Jolteon. Muscle Band, we're going to see a Max Elixir. Going to fail that one. Another Max Elixir. Another fail, maybe? Oh, another fail. Okay, alright. I like it. I like it a lot. And let's see what happens. Yeah, we probably should have sent the Xerneas. We could have Quake Punch this turn for sure. Punching a Darkrai with you know, they have to waste a DC to retreat. It would have been really cool. But at least we can maybe get a Flash Ray off. There's a Shaymin. Going to set it for 3. Now, the only thing that's going to be kind of concerning is this Hypno. They can Goodnight Babies us every single time, but it's going to be annoying. So we need to somehow knock out this Hypno. If we could do that, it'll maybe be in the game. Another Darkrai comes down onto the field. Do they have another switch or a DC? They have discarded 1 DC and 1 switch, if I remember correctly. And there we see a Sycamore going to discard his hand, draw 7 new cards. Does he find a DC or the switch? That is the question. And if he does, he will take a knockout for the turn. Alrighty, does he find it? Alright, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. How many VS Seekers in our discard pile? None. Alright, that's good. Good, I like to hear that. And does he not have it? Oh, man. There's another Max Elixir. Okay. Looks like another fail. He did discard a bunch of Dark Energies. How many was it? 3. Alright, that is a bunch. Alright, so Dark Energy to the active. We'll see a pass for my opponents. We could maybe see a Goodnight Babies, but he opts not to do that. Another Toad coming down. I think I'm going to save the bench spot. We could put somebody else down, so I'm just going to save it. I'm going to just Sycamore, discard our hand, draw in 7 new cards. Can we find a DC or not? That is the question. I mean, that Rainbow Energy. And, okay, we found the Rainbow Energy, but we don't find a Aromatisse. Okay, so that's not good. Alright. We could just DC the active and Quake and Punch. But then he could just use Dark Pulse to knock us out. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I think I'm just going to Rainbow the active, retreat into Xerneas, and just pass. I'm just going to let him hit the Xerneas, so pass onto our opponent's turn. And still we're in a situation, if we get our Aromatisse, we might be okay. There's a VS Seeker, and I wonder what he'll go for. First, Sycamore, I'm fine with this. My opponent's going to have 11 cards left in their deck. So Sycamore going to discard a Lysandre, some other stuff. Alright, so my opponent has drawn through a lot of their deck. They have used a lot of resources. There's a Trainer's Mail. Imagine looking for another Dark Energy, maybe retreat to the Darkrai. But if they do that, we can just send the Jolteon and it has free retreat. And we can start using the Flash Ray. There's another All Night Party. It will come down, most likely. Yep, All Night Party coming down. Okay. There's another Trainer's Mail. Go look at the top 4 cards of their deck, and let's see what they decide to get. Now, I really need to draw into, like, another supporter card besides these in our hand, because this is not good. But a Pokemon Salinity will come down. Oh, man, that's not good. They can heal 60 from the active. And there's a switch into the Darkrai. Alright, Goodnight Baby is going to put both our Pokemon to sleep, and he will take a knockout this turn with that Darkrai. He'll hit Hilton because of Hypno. And there's a Darkhead. Gonna knock us out. Alrighty, I guess I'm gonna send a Jolteon, and I'm probably just gonna AZ up the Shaymin and hope to hit a Aromatisse, an Ultra Ball, or okay, there's a Fairy Energy. That's not what we really needed. Okay, so we're gonna put down the Xerneas, put down the Fairy Garden, put down use the AZ, pick up the Shaymin to draw 2, and we need to hit a Aromatisse. Let's see, what do we get with the Shaymin to draw 2 cards. Come on, don't let us down, and okay, that's not good. That's not good. But what we could do one more time is just retreat into this guy, Fairy Energy the active, and we're going to end our turn. And what we can do next turn is judge our opponent down to 4. No, actually, I'm just going to Birch. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Birch. We need to hit heads and hit this Aromatisse. Our opponent can't knock us out unless they play a Giovanni scheme. They'll do 180 damage, but we are resistant to Dark, which is great. Now, the only thing I'm kind of concerned is this is our last Fairy Guard, and how many all-night... He has played all... Okay, all of his all-night parties are gone, which is great. If we get down the Malamar-EX, we could maybe put our opponent to sleep as well. So if our opponent wants to use Dark Head, he's just going to hit us for 80. Alright, cool. Alright, so on to our turn, let's see, what do we get? We get an Ultra Ball, which we can Ultra Ball discard the Birch and the Judge. And with this, we're going to get down the Aromatisse, and we're finally going to start the party. Alright, so Aromatisse, ooh, we could go for Jirachi, but no, let's go for Aromatisse. Let's at least try to get that online. Put down the Aromatisse. We will via Seeker for a Birch, and yeah, let's go for a Birch. And let's see, can we find a Malamar? That might be really cool to use. And let's see, what do we get off the Birch ahead? So getting 7 new cards. Alrighty, we get a Megaphone, which is good. We'll discard his Muscle Bands. We will free retreat into the Jolteon. Fairy transfer the Rainbow from the Toad up to the Jolteon. And we will Flash Ray for 80 damage. Now, I know we are two-shotting our opponent, but next time we can use another attacker to maybe knock out this Darkrai. 80 damage, 100 damage left. On to our opponent's turn. They have no more Good Night Party, All-Night Party. They ever see my opponent concede in the game. So, I mean, this matchup, you can see our opponent kind of saying, okay, there's no way I can win, but they could have maybe used Hypno to try to put us to sleep. I know the odds are probably stacked against our opponent, but there we go. Aromatisse Toolbox taking a win against Darkrai Hypno. It looks like our opponent was in a great spot, but as you see, he wasn't really conservative. He played all of his resources. He discarded all of his, all-night parties, and what was he like? There's no way he could really take knockouts, which is not good at all. We would have to stay asleep for a turn and all this stuff, but maybe we could have maybe used AZ or something to pick up a Jolteon while moving around the energies. I don't know, but hopefully you enjoyed this game. We'll see one more game with the deck here in a second. Hopefully it's another good game. I know this is kind of weird to show off, but you kind of see the power of the deck and how kind of versatile it is. Switch between different Pokemon, using Aromatisse. When we finally get it out, we were good to go. But we'll see one more game with the deck here in a second. We'll see what happens. Alright, putting against Ice Daddy, playing a Dark and a Colorless deck. I guess today's theme is going to be Dark. They do have a Mega Absol coin. Please be playing Mega Absol. That'd be a lot of fun to play against. And yes, we would like to go first. And let's see what kind of start do we get with this deck. And let's see what happens. Alright, we get a Toad DC. Perfect. That's what you usually want to start with. Alright, we'll press done. And let's see what our opponent is playing. There's a oh my goodness, Tyranitar. So we're going to Pokemon Fan Club, and with this, we are going to search out a Spritzee, and probably a Malamar? Yeah, I like those two cards. I like touching a Malamar every turn, putting our opponent to sleep while we can. That seems really neat. Let's put down Spritzee, put down a Malamar, and I'm actually going to attach a Fairy Energy to our Malamar to put my opponent's Tyranitar to sleep. Night-Night Tyranitar, and we will end... Oh no, let's put a Fighting Fury Belt on the active, just in case they play like something to put us, like a Head Ringer or a Jamming Net or something. So the Tyranitar does sadly wake up, but at least we get an energy attachment for the turn, a Dark Energy to the active. Alright, we got a DC Sycamore. We're going to Sycamore draw a new hand. There's a Golden Ultra Ball, discarding a DC and a Mega Tyranitar to get out of his Shaymin. Alright, so Mega Tyranitar is actually pretty scary. Destroyer King 110. This attack does 60 more damage for each damage counter on the opponent's active Pokemon. Right now, he can't really hurt us. Hammerhand does 60, but what my opponent needs to do is to get out a Link. And there's a Xerosic getting rid of our Fighting Fury Belts. And there's a VS Seeker, and let's see what they decide to get another Xerosic. So what they can do next turn is they can Xerosic away our DC, which is not good. Alright, so with DC the active, we know he has a Xerosic in there. And I'm just going to Sycamore. I don't think Darkrai is going to be really that useful in this matchup. Alright, so we get an Ultra Ball. We can at least get out an Aromatisse this turn. So we'll get these two guys. And I'm actually going to try to get this Giratina set up. If we can get this Giratina set up, my opponent really can't attack it with his Mega. So put down the Aromatisse, put down the Giratina, and we will just Quake Punch for 30. Alright, now we know they have the Xerosic in their hand, but what we can do next turn is maybe move the Fairy Energy up to this guy, get another Fairy Energy, or Rainbow, DC to the active, so we could see a Hammer in for 60, Xerosic discarding that DC, but now, if my opponent wants to Mega Evolve, he has to end his turn right now, but we're going to see a Hammer in for 60. The second attack does 130. Oh man, that's not good. So I'm just going to Max Potion, heal the active. We will VS Seeker, and I think I'm just gonna go for a Birch. I know the Birch is in here. I'd rather save that VS Seeker. So let's use the Birch and give me heads, buddy. Come on, Professor Birch. No, tails. All right. Alright, but we still got the Rainbow, so we're going to attach a Rainbow to this guy, put the Tyranitar to sleep, Night-Night Tyranitar. We are going to Fairy Transfer, move an energy up to this guy. There's one to here. Move another one to here. And we are going to press done, and we're going to Quake Punch for another 30 damage. That's going to bring it up to 60. We still can't knock it out next turn. Tails, it does stay asleep, though, so that's great. Our opponent can't hit us this turn, so maybe next turn we could just... maybe Giovanni scheme to draw more cards. And let's see, what does my opponent have? And let's see a Mega Tyranitar coming down. Alright, on to our turn. We get a Fairy Energy. Now we have an option. We can either just Sycamore, discard our hand, trying to find a DCE and a Fairy Garden. And if we do, we can attack with Giratina, which has the Renegade Pulse, making it where his Megas cannot hurt us. Which I do like that strategy. Let's just Sycamore. Let's see, can we hit it or not? Can we find a DCE? And we do. Okay, so we get a DCE, Fighting Fury Belt, DCE, Ultra Ball, discard a Megaphone and Shaymin. And with this, let's see, what can we go for? We could go for this Xerneas. Ooh, that might make things interesting. Or Jirachi. Let's go for Xerneas. Maybe we can go for a Rainbow Force for the final knockout. Is that what it's called, right? Rainbow Force? Yep, and we'll Shaymin. 4-5. Can we please find a Fairy Garden? There's 4 overall, and we whiffed it. Okay, but we still got Quake Punch. We'll Quake Punch for 30. Bring it up to 90. Alrighty, on to our opponent's turn. He really still can't knock us out, but we did whiff that Fairy Garden. That would have been fantastic to have, but he still can't play his tool cards. He can't play item cards. There is a Yveltal-EX coming down, a Fairy Garden coming down as well. Professor Birch's Observation. And tells, alright, my opponent getting 4 cards with Professor Birch. And what we could do... Okay, how much HP does this guy have left? 150. Let's do... Okay, a Judge. Okay. I was going to say, if we top deck a VS Seeker, we could wait for a Grenade Hammer to knock out this guy. I'm going to put a Rainbow Energy to that guy. Put in Tyranitar to sleep. And we're going to use Judge. And hopefully we can find a Fairy Garden. So Judge can put both players at 4 cards, and there is a Fairy Garden. Thank you. Alright. So we're going to put down the Fairy Garden. We will free retreat into this Giratina. And we still don't take a knockout, but we do put our opponent in a weird situation because they can't hurt us anymore. Let's move a Fairy Energy to this guy. Oh no, we actually need to move the Rainbow Energy. Sorry. So Rainbow Energy to this guy. I'll move the Fairy Energy off this guy to the Malamar. And then we'll move the Rainbow Energy to this guy. I forget he needs a Grass Psychic and a DC to do that. I'll press done, and we will use Chaos Whip for 110 damage. Alrighty, there we go. So now my opponent is in a weird situation. They're still asleep, and you can see how cool of a strategy this deck is. Like, just switch between different Pokemon, depending on what type of deck you're playing against. You pretty much win the game. But now my opponent can use item cards. If they have Mega Turbos, they can maybe put on, like, maybe Link Mega Tyranitar, but if he does, there's a Lysandre. Gonna bring up the Toad. Don't really care about that. Shaymin drawn 3. So I don't really care about this that much. We can just AZ actually just pick up the Toad or just free retreat. I think we'll just free retreat. My opponent can't put down any stadium cards because we have him under the Chaos Well. They can't play Tools, Special Energy, or stadium cards, which is great. So things are looking good. They are looking great for us. Malamar gets a Dark Energy, and they wake up. Alrighty, on to our turn. So we're going to take a knockout. I'm going to Fairy Transfer, move this onto this guy. We will then press done, free retreat into the Giratina. The question is, where do I put the DC? I think we'll put it onto the Xerneas. And we are going to Chaos Well for 100, take a knockout, or 110, sorry. Taking a knockout. Go down to 4 prize cards. We could have used AZ, but I think I'm going to save it for later. Fairy Garden and a Toad coming down. We'll see Yveltal coming up and on to our opponent's turn. Alright, so let's see. Xerneas can use does 30 more damage for each type of Pokemon on your bench. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. Alright. So we need a Fighting Fury Belt, and we actually can knock out this active Pokemon. Alright, so that might be interesting. Dark Energy to the active. And an Evil Ball, does this knock us out? Nope, 140. Alright. so on our turn, let's see, what do we get? There's a Super Rod. That's not what I really wanted to see. Alright, so let's think about this. Alright, so we can't really use that either. We could go for a Malamar play, but I don't know how great that's going to be either. I think we just need to play Super Rod, play AZ, pick up the Shaymin 3, 4, and try to draw 2 and maybe take a knockout this turn. So let's Super Rod, shuffle back in a Darkrai and Shaymin, alright. We'll AZ, pick up the Shaymin. Put it back down to draw 2. Yes, and let's see, what do we get? 1, 2. Alright, Rainbow and a Lysandre, okay. I think what I'm going to do is Rainbow the Malamar. Yes, we'll put our opponent to sleep. We are going to free retreat into this guy. Xerneas, use Fairy Transfer, move an energy to this guy. We'll move one of these energies to this Xerneas. We'll press done. And we will go for a Quaking Punch for 30 damage. I think that might be the smartest play. I'm not 100% sure. He does stay asleep regardless. And the next time we can use Rainbow Force, we'll do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, which will take a knockout on this guy. No, the -2 because of the resistance. That's why. Alright. No, he's not resistant. What am I talking about? Hold on. Okay, 160. It wouldn't have been a knockout next time. I would have been short 10. So I needed that Fighting Free Belt to knock out that Yveltal. Alright, so let's see what my opponent decides to do. He doesn't really do anything. We can send the Xerneas, take a knockout. The Xerneas is resistance to dark. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. But let's see. What do they have? We might see Rainbow Force coming in. We see a DC going down to Shaymin. And we might just see a pass for my opponent. Looks like we are going to be A-OK this turn. We do only have one VS Seeker left. We see I'm not sure what that is. Sycamore going to discard his hand, draw 7 to guards. And can he find an... does he play All Night Party? Nope, just a pass. On to our turn. Let's do some Rainbow Force. Alright, so we're going to retreat into the Xerneas. We're going to use Fair Transfer. Move this Rainbow Energy to this guy. Oh, well, move the Psychic Energy... the Fair Energy to this guy. Move the Rainbow Energy to this guy. We'll press done. And let's go for Rainbow Force. This should knock it out. And 160. There we go. We'll go down 2 prize cards. And what we can do next turn is we could Lysandre the Shaymin, take a knockout with Rainbow Force. But I think I'm going to retreat into Malamar and try to use Maximar. We will have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3, 6, 9, 12. We have to hit all 4 heads, right? No, okay, 60. Alright, so we're good. Yeah, so, what are the Dark Energy? What is that called? It's called a Dangerous Energy, alright? So, Link, Dangerous Energy, Lucky Helmets. I think what I'm going to do is Lysandre and go... Oh, hold on, let's see what this VS Seeker does. A Lysandre. Who will they bring out? Ooh, they might bring out Giratina, and that would be a knockout. Oh, no, a Giratina. Oh, no, buddy, I'm sorry. We have a ton of ways to win next turn, but I think I'm going to go for the coolest way. I think I'm going to bring up that Shaymin and take a knockout on it with the Maximar. It depends on the coin flips, and I love just love. We can use Grenade Hammer, 130. We can move a Fair Energy to this guy. It needs 2 waters and colors. We can use Rainbow Force, take a knockout. But I think I'm going to go for the Malamar play. That seems like the riskier play, and I like that a little bit more. So on our turn, we get a Xerosic, okay. Alright, so I'm going to Lysandre, bring up Shaymin. And yeah, we're going to go for it. We are going to go for this. I'm going to do Ultra Ball, discard a Toad and Toad. I don't even know if we get our hand down far enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get Shaymin for 1 to try to hit another energy. And that's what I'm going to do. Let's Shaymin for 1. And let's see, what do we get? Yes, and let's see, do we get a DCE? And we don't. Alright. But we are going to VS Seeker, Fairy Transfer. This up to here. This up to here. And we need to hit 1 out of 3. I should have moved more energies off that Giratina. I was just ready for this Malamar play. But let's go for a Maximar. This is a poor decision on my part. Probably in heads. Heads, and we did it! Yes, Maximar takes the game against the Shaymin. Alright, we had multiple options. We could have used Toad. maybe Rainbow Force. But there we go. We're taking the victory against a Mega Tyranitar deck with our Fairy Box deck. There's a mystery prize. I know last time I did not show it, but it was like 50 tokens or something, not that very special. But let's see, what do we get out of this one? Hopefully it's something special. And there is Fairy Box. Man, it's such a fun deck. All these different attackers. You can do pretty much whatever you want to. Rainbow Power. Alright. And, okay, some more with this. Alright. Knock out 16 opposing Pokemon with your Dark Pokemon. Okay, let's press done. And let's see, what do we get? Hopefully it's something good. And it's just one tournament ticket. Alright guys, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you see the power of the Aromatisse box. I think it's a lot of fun. You have all these different attackers, and choosing which one to attack when is I like it a lot. It is somewhat challenging, but it is fun. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button already. Bye.